Barron Trump, who surprised everyone when he calmly stood up to defend a woman under unfair public attack. In a world where harsh words and confrontation are common, Barron's quiet courage reminds us all of the power of grace and respect. Across the grand hall, moving deliberately through the mingling crowd, was a journalist notorious for their sharp, often controversial interviews. Dressed impeccably in a tailored suit, with a microphone in hand and a cameraman trailing closely behind, they scanned the room with laser focus, clearly searching for their next target. Their eyes quickly locked onto Evelyn Carter, the philanthropist everyone had come to see. To the journalist, this gala wasn't just a charity event, it was a stage, a golden opportunity to create a headline that would grab attention by morning. Known for turning public figures' most vulnerable moments into viral media storms, they had been waiting for the right moment to confront Evelyn about swirling rumors regarding her foundation's finances and her supposed silence on hot-button social issues. As Evelyn wrapped up a conversation with a small group of major donors, the journalists seized their chance, cutting through the crowd with calculated ease. Flashing a practiced, polite smile, they approached as though merely engaging in casual conversation, but their tense posture and the cameraman's focused lens betrayed their real purpose. "Ms. Carter," the journalist began smoothly, lifting the microphone just high enough for perfect audio. "Some have questioned the transparency of your foundation, and why you've stayed silent on recent issues affecting children nationwide. How do you respond?" Though wrapped in politeness, the question cut like a knife, clearly designed to put Evelyn on the defensive. Nearby conversations hushed, eyes turning as tension filled the space. Evelyn remained composed, but a flicker of unease passed across her face. This was supposed to be a night of celebration, not an ambush. Across the grand hall, moving deliberately through the crowd, was a journalist known for their sharp, often controversial interviews. Dressed sharply with a microphone in hand and a cameraman following closely behind, they scanned the room until their eyes locked onto Evelyn Carter. To the journalist, this gala wasn't just a charity event, it was an opportunity to create a headline. Known for turning public figures' most vulnerable moments into viral content, they had been waiting for the right time to confront Evelyn about swirling rumors regarding her foundation's finances and her supposed silence on divisive social issues. As Evelyn finished a conversation with a group of donors, the journalist seized their chance. Flashing a rehearsed smile, they approached as though looking for a friendly chat, but their posture and the camera trailing behind gave away their true intentions. "Ms. Carter," they began smoothly, raising the microphone just high enough for the camera to capture every word, "some have questioned the transparency of your foundation and why you've stayed silent on recent issues affecting children nationwide. How do you respond?" The question, though delivered politely on the surface, had sharp edges designed to put Evelyn on the defensive. The nearby conversations quieted, eyes turning toward Evelyn, sensing the tension rising. Evelyn's expression stayed composed, but there was a flicker of unease in her eyes. She wasn't expecting to be ambushed on a night meant for celebration and charity. As a hush fell over the nearby crowd, the journalist pressed on, emboldened by the attention now fixed on Evelyn. "Some people say that while you promote helping children, you've remained conveniently silent on policies and issues that affect vulnerable families." Their voice was calm but sharp, and though phrased as a question, it was clearly meant to corner her. Evelyn's fingers tightened slightly around her glass of water, though her face remained composed. "I've always believed in focusing on positive action rather than public debates," she replied carefully, offering a polite smile. But the journalist wasn't satisfied. "So, you're saying you choose not to comment on issues that many would argue are directly related to your foundation's mission?" they pressed, cutting into Evelyn's calm reply. The cameraman adjusted angles, zooming in on Evelyn's face, ready to capture any sign of discomfort. The surrounding guests exchanged glances, whispers rippling through the group. Some watched with unease, others with curiosity. Evelyn took a breath, keeping her voice even. "My goal is to create real change for children, and sometimes that work happens quietly, without public fanfare," she answered. But as soon as she finished, the journalist shot back, "Or is it because speaking out might upset certain donors or political figures you're connected to?" The question hung in the air, bold and intrusive. The mood in the room shifted, growing tenser with each second. Evelyn's poised facade wavered just slightly, a flash of discomfort in her eyes. All the while, Barron Trump, standing a few feet away, watched the scene unfold, his expression unreadable, but his eyes sharp and focused on every word. The moment was quickly building towards something, and Barron seemed ready to act. Before Evelyn could respond, a calm but firm voice cut through the tension like a knife. "Excuse me, but is this really the right time and place for these questions?" All eyes turned as Barron Trump stepped forward, his tall frame now fully in view, his posture relaxed but undeniably commanding. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried enough weight to instantly silence the room. The journalist turned, momentarily caught off guard, blinking as they registered who had spoken. "I'm asking fair questions that deserve answers," the journalist said, trying to regain control. But Barron didn't flinch. "There's a difference between fair questions and using a charity event meant to help children as your stage for confrontation," he replied smoothly, his tone calm but sharp enough to make a point. "If this were truly about getting real answers, you'd schedule an interview, not ambush someone during an event meant to raise hope and funds for kids." A ripple of agreement stirred among the crowd, a few nods, a couple of quiet, "he's right," murmurs. The journalist's eyes narrowed. "The public has a right to know," they started again, but Barron cut in, his gaze steady and voice unwavering. "And people have a right to be treated with basic respect, especially when they're here for something bigger than themselves. Maybe instead of trying to tear people down, you should think about how you can use your platform to build up the causes that matter." His words hung in the air, silencing even the most skeptical faces in the room. Evelyn looked over at Barron, gratitude flashing in her eyes. The journalist seemed to falter, shifting awkwardly under the weight of Barron's calm yet devastating response. Around them, the mood had shifted. The room was no longer on the journalist's side, but on Barron's. The confrontation had reached its turning point, and it was clear who had gained the crowd's respect. The journalist, realizing the crowd had shifted its support to Barron, hesitated, clearly searching for a way to recover. They offered a thin, forced smile, adjusting their microphone awkwardly. "Perhaps we can continue this conversation another time," they muttered, attempting to save face, but the strength in their voice had vanished. Without waiting for reply, they lowered the microphone, signaling to the cameramen, who quietly stopped recording. As they stepped back, a quiet wave of applause began to spread through the guests, soft at first, then growing louder as more people joined in. The applause wasn't for the journalist's retreat, but for Barron's courage and composure. Evelyn turned to Barron, offering him a warm, genuine smile, her voice low but full of gratitude. "Thank you," she said simply. Several nearby guests moved in to express their support, one older woman patting Evelyn's arm as she said, "You handled that beautifully, and young man, so did you." A well-known actor watching from across the room approached Barron, shaking his hand firmly. "That was impressive," he said. "You've got a good head on your shoulders." The tension that had gripped the room finally eased, replaced with admiration and quiet respect for the way Barron had turned the situation around. Later that evening, as the gala continued inside, Barron and Evelyn stepped out onto a quiet balcony, away from the lingering buzz of conversation and flashing cameras. The cool night air was a welcome contrast to the heated exchange that had unfolded earlier. For a moment, neither of them spoke, both lost in thought as they gazed out over the city skyline. Finally, Evelyn broke the silence, her voice soft but filled with emotion. "You didn't have to do that, you know," she said, turning to face Barron. He looked at her, calm but resolute. "Maybe, but I couldn't just stand there and let them tear you down," he replied. "You've done so much good. People need to see that, not some twisted version of the truth." Evelyn gave a small smile, touched by his words. "You remind me of someone I knew. Someone who always stood up for others no matter the cost," she said gently. Barron smiled faintly, glancing away as if to hide a flicker of emotion. "Sometimes it's not about making noise," he said quietly. "It's about standing up when it counts." In that moment, a deep understanding passed between them, a bond formed through mutual respect and shared values. By the next morning, videos of Barron's calm but powerful defense had gone viral, shared across social media by attendees and picked up by major news outlets. Headlines like, "Barron Trump shuts down journalist with class," and "Unexpected hero at charity gala," flooded timelines, sparking widespread conversation. Comments poured in praising Barron for his composure and calling out the journalist's tactics. People from all walks of life, from public figures to everyday citizens, shared their admiration for his quiet courage and respect for Evelyn. Many pointed out that in a world full of noise and confrontation, Barron's approach showed a refreshing reminder of dignity and strength. For Barron, though, the attention wasn't the goal. It was simply about doing the right thing. But as the story continued to circulate, it left behind a powerful message. Sometimes, standing up with grace can be more powerful than any argument. The story of Barron Trump standing up for Evelyn Carter teaches a powerful lesson about courage, respect, and the importance of speaking out when it truly matters. In a world where public figures are often judged harshly and unfairly, Barron's calm but firm response reminds us that kindness and dignity should never be forgotten, even in tense situations. He showed that standing up for others doesn't require anger or aggression, just quiet strength and conviction. Barron's choice to defend Evelyn not only protected her in a vulnerable moment but also inspired others to reflect on how we treat people, especially those in the public eye. The story also highlights that there is a right time and place for hard questions, and using someone's goodwill event to launch an attack isn't ethical. Perhaps the most important takeaway is that we all have the power to make a difference when we choose to stand up for what's right, even if we aren't seeking attention. Respect, loyalty, and decency are values that never go out of style, and as Barron showed, sometimes a few calm words can change an entire room, and even spark a conversation that reaches far beyond it.